BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks. And I'm glad to be back. I was gone for the 4th of July weekend, not because it was a holiday weekend, but here in the US, that's our Independence Day. But it wasn't because of that, it was because my laptop kind of needed a new battery, and so I had to send it off because apparently my 2009 MacBook Pro is now considered vintage by Apple, and they don't even make a battery for it anymore. So I had to send it to a place that has a battery that they can put in it. So I did, and it took forever because of the holiday weekend, and I was without it for what felt like a really long time. It's funny how, you know, dependent on technology that we get. I live in the middle of nowhere, and so that's my connection to the world. And so I was kind of using my husband's laptop, but he doesn't have the editing software that I have, and so I just couldn't get it done. So yeah, I can't believe they call it vintage. I mean, I'm vintage. Yeah, I'm vintage, but it's not. I didn't think it was. Maybe, I don't know. Now I have a vintage laptop to go along with my vintage person. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, this weekend I have the pleasure of listening to Servants of the Storm. This is by Jack Campbell, and it is narrated on audio by MacLeod Andrews. It is book 5 in the Pillars of Reality series. And, you know, I gotta tell you, I know I sound like a broken record, but MacLeod Andrews is just a phenomenal narrator. I mean, I listen to all kinds of books narrated by all kinds of people, and he is phenomenal. He just is. You know, I'm not his one-person fan club or anything, but he's just really good at what he does. He has a straight-line narration voice that is very appropriate for every book that he does. He has an ability to take characters and just bring them to life, like make them jump right out of your iPod. You feel like you're right there in the action, because it's not just that he says the dialogue with emotion and expression. I feel like I'm right there. There are times in this book when I have felt like I was standing in a field listening to a conversation between a guy in the air on a bird who was doing kind of reconnaissance for a battle, and the people on the ground that were asking what's going on. I felt like I was standing, you know, 20 feet away listening. That's how good he is. He's just, I get so drawn into the story that I completely forget that I'm listening to a book. Now that is a good narrator. That is a guy who's good at his job. This is a world where you have 2 guilds. You have the Mage Guild, which is all magic, and guys that are like monks who do magic, and then you have the Mechanics Guild, which is all steampunk, and it's really a lot of fun. And the 2 key characters, the main characters, are a girl who's a mechanic and a guy who's a mage, and they are together, and it's the story of their journey to prevent a huge disaster befalling their planet, their world at large. So anyway, it's really good, really, really good. After I finish this, because I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, I'm going to pick up Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stievfater. This is the 3rd book in the Raven cycle. Book 1 is The Raven Boys, book 2 is The Dream Thieves, book 3 is Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and book 4 is The Raven Boys. And I listened to The Raven Boys a long time ago, a couple of years ago, and Will Patton narrates it, and I didn't like it. I don't know, I didn't care for him, and I just couldn't get into the story. But I thought, so many people like it, and my best friend Karen bought me the last book in print, so I thought, you know, maybe I need to give this another chance. She loves the series, so I did. I sped up Will Patton, and I listened to it again, and I knew just enough about the story to make it where I wasn't completely lost knowing what was going to happen. I kind of had a feeling as to the way it was going to go. I remembered just enough for that, but I didn't remember many of the key details. And I fell in love with some of the characters, Noah in particular, and I really enjoyed it. I was really shocked. I will say that if you didn't like it and didn't finish it for some reason, if you give it a second shot, you may like it. You might. She is setting up the whole world in that first book, and so I don't know. it's a confusing world. It's an intricate world with regard to what's happening. So anyway, so I went right from there to the Dream Thieves, and I listened to that, and now that ended on a huge cliffhanger, so now I'm anxious to pick up Blue Lily, Lily Blue. On my romance iPod, I just finished The Golden Dynasty by Kristen Ashley. This was narrated by Tillie Hooper, who is also Lauren Fortgang. I picked that up just to kind of hear what Tillie Hooper sounded like, because this whole series by Kristen Ashley, I think it's called the Fantasyland series, has just been released on audio. So I knew it wasn't her standard narrator, who is Emma Taylor, I think. And I don't care for Emma Taylor really. But I thought, Tillie Hooper, I didn't recognize the name. Who is this? Do I like her? So I started kind of sampling it, and I kind of got drawn into the story all over again, because The Golden Dynasty is a really, really good story. Kristen Ashley is an author that I have mixed feelings about, not because of her stories, but because of the mechanics of her writing. When you don't like the narrator and you choose to read the print book, or you just a print book, you prefer that, there are just so many times when she will lapse into British terminology when she is writing the dialogue for an American character. So you have an American using British slang. That bothers me. And her writing just needs an editor. Really, you know what? If she had a good editor, the woman would be outselling everybody in the romance aisles of the bookstores. Seriously, she's that good of a storyteller. That's the only reason I can palate any of her books. But The Golden Dynasty is the very first book I ever read of hers, and on audio it is really good. I was so impressed with Lauren Fortgang's narration, and I got completely sucked into the story all over again. So I just finished that yesterday, and so I thought, well, since it's a new narrator, maybe I'll go back and listen to all of the books in that Fantasyland series. The series is based on the premise that there are alternate worlds and key characters will switch places. And so you get sent to a new world and now you have to cope. That kind of thing. Romance involved heavily. These are adult romance. So the first one is called Wildest Dreams. So I have that on my romance iPod to listen to. And I also have the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I've read before. I haven't read the last book, and it's been a long time since I read them. I listened to the first book, but I could not take Justine Eyre as a narrator. I just couldn't do it. But I discovered that I could speed her up, and that kind of redeemed it. So I had every intention of going back and listening to the Lux series. So I have that on my iPod now. And I think that I'm going to probably, at some point, get to that, probably this weekend. Also, in the past couple of weeks, I've listened to a couple of books by Tracy Garvis Graves. She wrote On the Island, and that is, I think that's probably one of my favorite books of all time. I just picked it up because I'd been on an island on vacation recently, and I wanted to read it again. And I fell in love with these characters all over again, and that story all over again. It's about two people who get shipwrecked on an island. I'll tell you about it in a wrap-up, but it's so good. And there's a novella that goes with it called Uncharted, which I liked, but I didn't like as well as that one. So I knew I liked Tracy Garvis Graves. So now on my iPad, I have Covet by her. Now this is an interesting book. I thought, I don't know if this is going to be for me or not. But I'm going to give it a go because I trust her as an author to handle this really well. It's about a woman, and she's married. She has a couple of kids, and she and her husband are having a lot of trouble in their marriage. There is the temptation of infidelity, but I don't really think she's going to go there. I trust her as an author to handle it in such a way that, yes, this woman's marriage is falling apart, and yes, she's tempted, but is she really going to go there? I don't know. I don't think she is, and yet I think that there's going to be a happy ending. So I'll be interested to see how that one turns out. There's also a novella that goes along with that called Cherish, and I have that too. So that will be on my iPad. I will tell you this. I have a very long drive, my standard really long drive to from where I live down to where I have to go. It's about 13 hours driving time, and so I'll be doing that tomorrow. So that'll get me through probably a couple of books actually, because I listen to them faster than normal. So by the time I get there, I will probably have gotten through Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and halfway into The Wildest Dreams, probably. I don't know. So over the weekend, I'll probably, I don't know if I'll finish any of those or not, but that's what my plan is. So let me know what you're reading. I would love to know what you were reading last week, what you're still reading this week, what has piqued your interest. And if you have any suggestions for anything for me, like romance or sci-fi or anything otherwise, let me know. Let's talk about all that in comments. Have a good weekend, and that's it for now from me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.